We just picked up some new chicks, so let's go ahead and get them set up into their new home. Now we can set these down, and we like to keep the lids open just to make sure it doesn't get too hot in there, and that's why there's only 4 in each box. I usually use this container for glass recycling, but right now it'll be our chicken pen. Go ahead and clean this out. It's always fun getting new chicks, especially different breeds and different color eggs. Use wood chips. In this case, we're going to be using grass clippings. We don't spray any kind of chemicals on our lawn. It's completely natural. Now, if you sprayed chemicals on your lawn, you can't use this. It has to be completely natural, but this will work great. After the chicks are done using this, we can just put it right back into the garden. Whenever you put your water system in here, you want to make sure you raise it up about 2 inches, something like that, where it's going to be a bit higher than those grass chips or wood chips, because they will kick it into the water and you're going to find yourself constantly changing it. So just a little bit of elevation will keep that to it. And the same thing with food. Now we can go ahead and start spreading this grass in. And this grass mixture is exactly the same as what our free-range chickens would be eating all day long. Whenever you're just getting these first chicks, and while they're still babies, it's a good idea to handle them, just so they won't be quite as afraid of you. And when they're free-range chickens, it'll be nice if you can just walk up to them and pick them up. I think out of these different kinds of chickens, Barred Rocks are my favorite. Out of all of the chickens, this one right here is the calmest, and she's not a Barred Rock. It won't take long and they'll start exploring their space, start finding the food in the water, and you can see that one already found it. In the chicken run, we have a secondary coop here that's smaller, and whenever the chicks get big enough to be outside, we'll put them in this coop here, and then we can let the bigger chickens out in the run. And they'll kind of acclimate, get to know each other and bond, so you can't just introduce them straight into the new coop with the big chickens, or else they'll fight each other. So they need to bond like this. And behind this coop we have the chicken run and the bigger coop. That's how we introduce the younger chickens to the older. If the volume of their chirping starts to increase, it gets louder, then you know that they are hungry, they're thirsty, they're cold. It's basically like a baby's cry. It's them telling you that they want something. We're only gone for about 5 minutes, and they definitely found the food and water. And now we can put the light in place. This is just gonna give them heat if they get too cold, and you don't wanna have like heat all over the entire container. You wanna put heat in one corner or one end so they can self-regulate their heat. If they get cold, they can come over into the light, and if they get hot, they can leave the light. Right now it's pretty warm in this room, so really I don't think the light, they don't need it too much, but we're gonna have it on anyway, and at this point they can self-regulate their heat. If they're too hot, they can move to one end, or if they want more heat, they can just get closer. Tonight, whenever the temperature starts dropping a little bit, we'll see if they start hovering around the light, and if they really huddle around there, you know we're gonna need to either bring it down a little bit. So it's just to keep an eye on them and see what they like. This chick starter food is really important, actually. Whenever you have new chicks, they can't handle the larger corn. So this is a feed. It's kind of like cracked corn, but then there's also different nutrients in there. It's really important for starter chicks. Once they get large enough, they can eat whole corn, and they'll also be able to live off the land, eat bugs, grass, and different plants. We keep all of our food in a food container and then lock it with a carabiner. Just in case, say, if a raccoon comes along, they would definitely be able to open this lid and get in there, so you need some kind of lock. When you see them huddled up like this, that means that they're cold. So we're gonna need to either lower this light down more or get a bulb that has more heat. Now we've got a bit of a better bulb here. It's got some heat, and we moved it down a little bit closer, and at this point they can self-regulate. If one gets hot, you know, it can move to the other end. They make these infrared heat lights, and these do get really quite hot. It's pretty warm out right now. It doesn't need to be really hot in here. The light is just to keep them warm right now. If it was winter, when it's really cold, that's when these really are helpful, whenever you really need to keep the heat high. The chicks upstairs into a little bit more of a traveled area, and sadly we had to put them underneath the dartboard, so now we won't be able to play darts for a few weeks, but they're in a bit of more a traveled area, so if they start chirping louder and they need something, we'll be able to hear it, and it's just nice to have them closer, and we can pick them up and have them around.